You might want to put your phone on so we can see if anybody pops up.
Hey, now who's
All
using a
right.
big brain?
Do what?
Now who's using a big brain?
I do that on occasion. Not often.
Oh,
Not very often at all, actually.
I don't have to. I have a fairly mind-numbing job. So. What row? What's the problem?
Difficulties. Not the usual technical difficulties we have, so
Yep.
it'd be.
I'll try that one. Well, I can't very well get the video to playing.
You can just have to turn it down.
See how that works out.
Kevin Owens watching.
I'm doing something.
All right. Well, everybody, welcome to
What the worker cat?
a worker cat. I don't know.
I have no idea.
All right. Welcome everybody to this installment of Three Rednecks and the Bible, and we are down one redneck. Chris is. What is he? He had a
Baby
baby
shower.
shower to go to.
Weird, huh?
So yeah, it's not
Yeah.
his.
Not his.
So we'll throw that out
It
there.
seemed like a really manly thing to do to go to the baby shower. I thought it was a lady thing, but
You know, I've been to several baby showers. It's not that bad a thing.
I don't know. I guess I just don't like people that well.
I've been told that it is not normal for guys to, or it didn't used to be normal for guys to show
Right.
up.
If we live in a new world.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, if they're good friends and what, why not?
That's right. That's right. And it's a good time anyway. So.
I mean, I'd rather see him when he done had. Already had it, but you know.
Somebody else joined.
Give me stuff. Come to my baby shower.
All right. I don't think that's exact. Well, that's kind of how it is.
I mean, deep down.
It's because you're being supportive
We're
of your friends and
being
family.
supportive. You want to have a party and get some cool stuff for the kid for it to kick out.
That kind of a thing. All right, so we'll go ahead and head off with a prayer. Most Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come together, study your word. Please, Lord, we ask that you give us the wisdom, knowledge, and discernment you would have us have from this lesson. And at the very least, Lord, just to really help us to understand more about you and the relationship we're supposed to have with you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Right.
All right, so.
He said discern.
Big
word. You keep the source out.
It's getting where I use those now.
Makes you look so smart.
Nothing really does that. I mean, I don't think that works out really well at all. So this lesson we're going through 1 Samuel. We're covering we're going through chapter 8 and going all the way through probably 11.
It's supposed to be 15, but you know our attention span may not be that great.
By may he means our attention span is not that great. So so let's see. I don't really want to read the whole thing right away, so it's not going to cover all of it right away.
Aren't we doing a summary very quick in there?
It pretty well is. I tell you what, I will read 8 and 9, and then when we get to that one point, we'll get to 10, and we'll cover that one.
All right, that'll work.
10 and 11. Okay. All right. So just kind of bear with us here. So, chapter 8, 1 Samuel chapter 8. Israel asked for a king. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as Israel's leaders. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of the second was Abijah. And they served at Beersheba. But his sons did not follow his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not follow your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." But when they said, "Give us a king to lead us," it displeased Samuel. So he prayed to the Lord, and the Lord told him, "Listen to all the people are saying, and it is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly and let them know what the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights." Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking him for a king. He said, "This is what the king who will reign over you will claim as his rights. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants." I just got to thinking about something on this. I'll make sure the volume's good. It is. Should be. Had to double check.
Anybody watching? Give them chime. Can you hear us?
Yeah, let us know what the volume's like, because we definitely want to know. Because we've got a new microphone up here and want to make sure that it's not picking up too much or that you can't hear us, because that would be horrible. Was that he will take a tenth of your grain and of your vintage and give it to his officials and attendants. Your male and female servants and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you in that day." But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles." Now when Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. The Lord answered, "Listen to them and give them a king." Then Samuel said to the Israelites, "Everyone go back to your own town." So there was a Benjamite, a man of standing, whose name was Kish, son of Abel, the son of Zerah, the son of Bechorath, and the son of Aphiah, and Aphiah of Benjamin. Kish had a son named Saul, as handsome a young man as could be found anywhere in Israel, and he was a head taller than anyone else. Now the donkeys belonging to Saul's father Kish were lost, and Kish said to his son Saul, "Take one of the servants with you, and go and look for the donkeys." So he passed through the hill country of Ephraim and through the area around Salisha, but they did not find them. They went on into the district of Shalim, but the donkeys were not there. Then he passed through the territory of Benjamin, but they did not find them. And when they reached the district of Zuph, Saul said to the servant who was with him, "Come, let's go back, or my father will stop thinking about the donkeys and start worrying about us." But the servant replied, "Look, in this town there is a man of God. He is highly respected, and everything he says comes true. Let's go there now. Perhaps he will tell us what way to take." Saul said to his servant, "If we go, what can we give the man? The food in our sacks is gone. We have no gift to take to the man of God. What do we have?" The servant answered him again. "Look," he said, "I have a quarter of a shekel of silver. I will give it to the man of God so that he would tell us what way to take." Formerly, in Israel, if someone went to inquire of God, they would say, "Come, let us go to the seer," because the prophet of today used to be called a seer. "Good," Saul said to his servant. "Come, let's go." So they set out for the town where the man of God was. As they were going up the hill to the town, they met some young women coming out to draw water, and they asked them, "Is the seer here?" "He is," they answered. "He's ahead of you. Hurry now, he has just come to our town today, for the people have a sacrifice at the high place. As soon as you enter the town, you will find him before he goes up to the high place to eat. The people will not begin eating until he comes, because he must bless the sacrifice. Afterward, those who are invited will go. Go up now, you should find him about this time." They went up to the town, and as they were entering it, there was Samuel coming toward them on his way up to the high place. Now the day before Saul came, the Lord had revealed this to Samuel. "About this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him ruler over my people Israel. He will deliver them from the hand of the Philistines. I have looked on my people, for their cry has reached me." When Samuel caught sight of Saul, the Lord said to him, "This is the man I spoke to you about. He will govern my people." Saul approached Samuel in the gateway and asked, "Would you please tell me where the seer's house is?" "I am the seer," Samuel replied. "Go up ahead of me to the high place, for today you are to eat with me, and in the morning I will send you on your way and will tell you all that is in your heart. As for the donkeys you lost 3 days ago, do not worry about them. They have been found. And to whom is all the desire of Israel turned, if not to you and your whole family line?" Saul answered, But am I not a Benjamite, one of from the smallest tribe of Israel, and is not my clan the least of all the clans of the tribe of Benjamin? Why do you say such a thing to me? And then Samuel brought Saul and his servant into the hall and seated them at the head of those who were invited, about 30 in number. Samuel said to the cook, Bring the piece of meat I gave you, the one I told you to lay aside. So the cook took up the thigh with what was on it and set it in front of Saul. Samuel said, Here is what has been kept for you. Eat, because it was set aside for you for this occasion from the time I said, I have invited guests. And Saul dined with Samuel that day. After they came down from the high place to the town, Samuel talked with Saul on the roof of his house. They rose about daybreak, and Samuel called to Saul on the roof, Get ready, and I will send you on your way. When Saul got ready, he and Samuel went outside together. As they were going down the edge of the town, Samuel said to Saul, Tell the servant to go on ahead of us, and the servant did so. But you stay here for a while, so that I may give you a message from God. I'm going to go ahead and read 10 real fast, because I think 10 ties in with most of our stuff. Then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it on Saul's head and kissed him, saying, Has not the Lord anointed you ruler over his inheritance? When you leave me today, you will meet 2 men near Rachel's tomb, at Zelzah, on the border of Benjamin. They will say to you, The donkeys you set out to look for have been found, and now your father has stopped thinking about them and is worried about you. He is asking, What shall I do about my son? Then you will go on from there until you reach the great tree of Tabor. 3 men going up to worship God at Bethel will meet you there. One will be carrying 3 young goats, another 3 loaves of bread, and another a skin of wine. They will greet you and offer you 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from them. After that, you will go to Gilboa of God, where there is a Philistine outpost. As you approach the town, you will meet a procession of prophets coming down from the high place with lyres, timbrels, pipes, and harps being played before them, and they will be prophesying. The Spirit of the Lord will come powerfully upon you, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into a different person. Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, but you must wait 7 days until I come to you and tell you what you are to do. As Saul turned to leave Samuel, God changed Saul's heart, and all these signs were fulfilled that day. When he and his servant arrived at Gibeah, a procession of prophets met him. The Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he joined all their prophesying. When all those who had formerly known him saw him prophesying with the prophets, they asked each other, What is this that has happened to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? A man who lived there answered, And who is their father? So it became a saying, Is Saul also among the prophets? After Saul stopped prophesying, he went to the high place. Now Saul's uncle asked him and his servant, Where have you been? Looking for the donkeys, he said. But when we saw they were not to be found, we went to Samuel. Saul's uncle said, Tell me what Samuel said to you. Saul replied, He assured us that the donkeys had been found, but he did not tell his uncle what Samuel had said about the kingship. Samuel summoned the people of Israel to the Lord at Mizpah, and said to them, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought Israel up out of Egypt, and I delivered you from the power of Egypt and all the kingdoms that oppressed you. But you have now rejected your God who saves you out of all your disasters and calamities. And you have said, No, appoint a king over us. So now present yourselves before the Lord by tribes and clans. When Samuel had all Israel come forward by tribes, the tribe of Benjamin was taken by lot. Then he brought forward the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, and Matri's clan was taken. Finally, Saul, son of Kish, was taken. But when they looked for him, he was not to be found. So they inquired further of the Lord, Has the man come here yet? And the Lord said, Yes, he has hidden himself among the supplies. So they ran and brought him out, and as he stood among the people, he was a head taller than any of the others. Samuel said to all the people, Do you see the man the Lord has chosen? There is no one like him among all the people. And the people shouted, Long live the king. Samuel explained to the people the rights and duties of kingship. He wrote them down on a scroll and deposited it before the Lord. Then Samuel dismissed the people to go to their own homes. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, accompanied by valiant men whose hearts God had touched. But some scoundrels said, How can this fellow save us? They despised him, and brought him no gifts. But Saul kept silent. So that takes us to 10.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we got what, one? Yeah, we'll finish up one more. Do you want to read that one?
What, 11?
Yeah, number 11.
Oh, right. Number 11. Oh, did you not? We didn't get the part about everybody cutting out everybody's right eyes with their glass of paragraph. Do you know that?
No, I do not have that part. All right.
It's all right.
So, no, go ahead and read that part. So,
Okay.
your ending is the Lord that
I
will
got
do
an
nothing.
extra paragraph for 10, then we'll go to 11. Nahash, king of the Ammonites, had been grievously oppressing the people
Oh, I was thinking
of Gad and Reuben. Oh, but I didn't hear you read.
No. No, it's just they broke your chapter up different.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Gad and Reuben, and who lived on the east of the Jordan River. He gouged out the right eye of each of the Israelites living there, and he didn't allow anyone to come and rescue them. In fact, of all the Israelites east of the Jordan, there wasn't a single one whose right eye Nahash had not gouged out. But there were 7,000 men who had escaped from the Ammonites, and they had settled in Jabesh Gilead. Chapter 11. About a month later, King Nahash of Ammon led his army against the Israelites' town of Jabesh Gilead. But all the citizens of Jabesh asked for peace. Make a treaty with us, and we will be your servants, they pleaded. All right, Nahash said, but on one condition. I will gouge out the right eye of every one of you as a disgrace to all Israel. Give us 7 days to send messengers throughout Israel, replied the elders of Jabesh. If no one comes to save us, we will agree to your terms. When the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and told the people about their plight, everyone broke into tears. Saul had been plowing the field with his oxen, and when he returned to town, he asked, "What's the matter? Why is everyone crying?" So they told him about the message from Jabesh. Then the Spirit of God came powerfully upon Saul, and he became very angry. He took 2 oxen, cut them into pieces, and sent the messengers to carry them throughout Israel with this message: "This is what will happen to the oxen of everyone who refuses to follow Saul and Samuel into battle." And the Lord made the people afraid of Saul's anger, and all of them came out together as one. When Saul mobilized them to Bezek, he found out. Boo. Wait a minute. Sorry, folks. Afraid of his anger, and they all came out together as one. When Saul mobilized them at Bezek, he found that there were 300,000 men from Israel and another 30,000 men from Judah. So Saul sent the messengers back to Jabesh Gilead, to say, "We will rescue you by noontime tomorrow." There was great joy throughout the town when that message arrived. The men of Jabesh then told their enemies, "Tomorrow we will come out to you, and you can do to us whatever you wish." But before dawn the next morning, Saul arrived, having divided his army into 3 detachments. He launched a surprise attack against the Ammonites and slaughtered them the whole morning. The remnant of the army was so badly scattered that no 2 of them were left together. Then the people exclaimed to Samuel, "Now where are those men who said, 'Why should Saul rule over us? Bring them here, and we will kill them.'" But Saul replied, "No one will be executed today, for today the Lord has rescued Israel." Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us all go to Gilgad to renew the kingdom." So they all went to Gilgal, and in a solemn ceremony before the Lord, they made Saul king. Then they offered peace offerings to the Lord, and Saul and all the Israelites were filled with joy.
Yay. All right, a couple things. Rachel, hello. Paula, it's good to see you watching, Paula.
Cindy, Rachel, Paula.
Cindy, same to you. Glad you're on.
Let me just over and see what's happening.
Yeah. All right, so for 3 to 4 chapters, a lot has happened.
A lot. We went from lost donkeys to saving Israel.
Yeah, lost donkeys and
Just like
battles
that.
and chopping up oxen and
Hmm.
a little bit of everything. Which we're having pork tonight, so
Hey,
that works out pretty good. Since that's now
as
making me
little
hungry.
Israelites may not be good, but that's okay. They shouldn't be getting in our way of our faith.
Right.
Obedience
All
to
right.
the
So we're gonna go through the questions here. Chapter 8 reveals differing attitudes toward establishing a monarch or a kingship in Israel. From what you see in this chapter, summarize the perspectives on this issue on the part of, we'll start off with the people of Israel.
The
What did you
people of
have?
Israel. Now, of course, put it at the bottom. They kind of want to be keeping up with the Joneses. They wanted a king to judge them, somebody other than the two corrupt judges,
Right.
and someone to lead them into battle. I feel like this is just me talking. They wanted a flesh and blood king that they could, see and flesh and
Right.
blood king that they could see and relate to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And to me, and that's real similar to what I had because, the people of Israel, they longed for a king. They saw these other nations that had kings and they saw how it ran, and they're like, hey, we want to be like
Uh,
those. Like you said, keeping up with the Joneses, which is a really good
yeah,
analogy. And it was crazy because
we know
God had
that
been the one keeping them safe all this
we
time.
got God, and wow, you
Yeah.
guys just weren't thinking. So it's
So
okay.
they they wanted one so they could be like the other countries.
Hmm.
So what was Samuel's take on it?
Samuel, 'cause Samuel he's kind of like us. God's your king. You don't know, what you're asking for.
Right.
You will become slaves. You're going to forfeit your property, your families, your freedom. It's just not going to work out like you think it is. He said, you already got the best king in the world,
Right.
but and he was totally against it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I got that he resisted the idea, and he warned the people of what a king would require because
Hmm.
he they had witnessed it with all these other countries and
Oh yeah,
the kingships there. So I mean, I don't know. Like you said, they wanted something they could see. They wanted something tangible.
yep.
They wanted to be able to see them, touch them, talk to them.
I want him to be on the
Having a holy person, especially two corrupt holy people,
yeah.
go up and talk
I
and
mean,
having
I'm
to
sure
pay
it gave him
them
a
and
pretty bad taste in their mouth with,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
gotta understand that's just two
Well, and how
bad
often does
dudes.
that happen in our lives? People get a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to
Oh,
Christians
absolutely.
because, and we've covered this here before, to where in my mind's eye, there's a difference between someone who is a true Christian or someone who is in Christ versus someone who
Claims to be a
claims
Christian.
to be a Christian.
Right.
Because if you're in Christ, you're going to be doing things differently. You're going to be trying to act
Absolutely.
differently. People that are just Christians, you have the ones that you have some that say that they're Christians and they're absolutely faithful. They try to do the next right thing. They don't judge people. But then you have others,
That are
man, they're Christians
judgy.
on they're Christians on Sunday
Yeah, on Sunday in church.
until 12 o'clock, and then after that, it's
Then
back
we're
to
back
being the
to
same way they were.
looking down their nose at folks, and of course, heck, they even do it in church.
That does happen. Go if you ever want to see what the true spirit of your church is, go to a church business meeting,
Yeah.
and those can get a little bit rough, just as rough as any other form
That
of
starts.
government.
There's that big green-eyed monster. It starts with money.
It is. Leanne, good to see you on here
I
and
know.
watching.
Hey, and
So,
I saw on Facebook where you and Peanut at the, I don't know what you call them, the flag line people. What I call them. Looked like they were having a good time.
okay, that is awesome.
I know Peanut's been doing a while, pretty good at it.
Yeah, and we asked earlier if the we're using a new microphone. We're trying to see how it works out. So you guys give
Yeah.
us, just let us know if it's great, if it's bad, if it's picking up way
Or if we
too many
just,
other noises.
we're all trying to become lip readers all of a sudden.
Right. Right. If it just totally conks out on us. All right. So how did the Lord take?
Yeah. What I've got down is, the Lord was like, give them what they want. It's like, and when it backfires on them, it's what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I've given you everything, and yet you're
Yeah.
not happy, and this is what you want. I'm going to give it to you. But in the same sense, I want to give you a good king.
Right.
I want to try to give you the best because I still like you guys. You're still my chosen folks. I want to give you a good king and see how it works out.
Right. Give you the best chance. See, and that's a take on it I didn't take.
Yeah.
I totally glossed over that point to where, God was still, he's like, look, I'm gonna do the best I'm going to show you what the best of you is.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see how lacking it is. And I put down that he God took it as them rejecting
Oh
him
yeah. Slap in the
because
face. Like, dude.
because they wanted a king to go in front of them into battle and to lead them into battle. And that is what God had been doing this whole
Yeah, the whole
time.
time he's like, and all I gotta do is snap my fingers.
Yeah.
Y'all don't even have to get all dressed up. Just,
Yeah. So
I don't know about back then, but getting geared up for war nowadays is a pain in the rear.
it is. It is. There's a lot of gear that's involved. And really, at my age, I'm thinking that just getting up in the morning and getting out of bed
Right?
is a little bit of a struggle.
I'm like, I got me some body armor. Do you see me wearing it around, showing it off? No.
Seldom has it
Lay
happened.
in the truck.
Seldom has the alarm went off when I did not think that it was too soon. Every
Oh,
morning.
it's always, well,
It's always earlier than I wanted every morning.
my four-legged alarm wakes me up before the alarm every time.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. He's a pretty good pup when he's not trying to eat you. All right, so we're down to 2A, which is what reasons did the elders of Israel give for wanting a king?
Oh, they wanted somebody, and which is odd. They wanted somebody non-corrupt to judge them, and they wanted somebody to lead them into battle. And then, let's see, whatever. To wanted somebody to judge them. They didn't want a corrupt judge anymore, and they wanted to be like the other nations. They wanted somebody to judge them and lead them into battle. And the Lord did all these things. Oh, that's B.
That's
I
B.
went all off into B.
That's
Sorry,
all right.
guys.
Cover both. We're good. So yeah, and that's pretty much what I got. For the A, I got because they gave his reason because Samuel's old and because his sons didn't follow in his ways.
Mm-hmm.
So the sons were corrupt. You're old. You're not keeping an eye on them. We just want out of this deal.
Yep.
We're kind of done with it. And then B, which
How old
was
is it?
what deeper reason is demonstrated in 8:20? How does and I didn't look up the Deuteronomy 7,
I
6 through
did,
11.
and it really didn't.
Didn't help you?
Which one was that? The B?
Yeah. Yeah, for B, I got they wanted a king to lead them for him to follow him instead of God.
Right.
They wanted to be like all the other nations, which we'd kind of already covered a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I read the Deuteronomy 10. I mean, it just didn't really.
Deuteronomy 6.
Okay. Because if it's 6, I read the wrong one.
Deuteronomy 7, 6 through 11. All right, I'll go ahead and read it real fast as soon as I get to 6 here. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you out of all the other peoples on the face of the earth to be his people, his treasured possession. The Lord did not set his affection on you and choose you because you were more numerous than other people, for you were the fewest of all people. But it was because the Lord loved you and kept the oath he swore to your ancestors that he brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the land of slavery, from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commandments. But those who hate him, he will repay to their face by destruction. He will not be slow to repay to their face those who hate him. I think that was all. And therefore, take care to follow the commands, decrees, and laws I give you today.
It seems like they're kind of telling him how good you got it.
It was, and it's interesting to me because really he's saying that, and he's also it's reminding them, what God did for them, brought them out of Egypt.
I mean, okay.
Brought them out of Egypt
now,
from slavery and
according,
everything else.
I'm figuring this generation wasn't the one, because
Right.
they didn't get to make it. But their ancestors, their grandparents, whatever,
Right.
he brought them out. You wouldn't be here without them.
No, he kept you, at the very least, he kept your ancestors safe while in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
He fed them, he clothed them, he went out in front of them night and day. And during the day he was a cloud, at night he was fire. And So it was that's where I brought that in. And so
Hmm.
I think it was, they were tired, they kind of tired of the rules and
Yeah,
regulations and tired of things like that. But they didn't understand that when they went to if they when they took on another king, he was going to
it's going to be worse.
it was going to be worse. So all right, 3A. In 8:7 through 9 and 8:21 through 22, what did God command Samuel to do about the request for a king?
Give them a king. Do what they want.
Yeah, he said to listen to him. He
Yeah.
said, go ahead and listen to him. Also, but warn him about what a king will claim as his rights. And then he said, listen to him and give him a king. So he said,
Yep.
listen to him and warn him, listen to him and give them what they want, because he knew they were not going to listen.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of
But
hard-headed little Israelites.
I see, and I can't even throw rocks at that. I was a
Oh, I
hard-headed
mean, don't get me
Gentile.
wrong. I'm pretty sure if we were there, we'd be just like,
More than likely. More than likely, because it's easy to, and we've covered this
yeah,
before. It's easy to set back now, reading where how you when you know
couple
how the rest of the
thousand,
story
yeah,
goes.
couple
You're
thousand
like,
years later, oh,
yeah, how could they have been so stupid? But when you're in the moment and making the decisions,
yeah,
things look different, things
oh
feel
yeah,
different, and your perception is so different. And I tend to forget that when I'm reading some of these. I'm like, how could you turn your back on God? But if I'm
it
objective about it, how
happens
many
every
times have I
day.
turned my back
Oh
on
yeah.
God every day? Even
Well,
trying to
sometimes
follow
I
Him as
like to think
faithful as I am.
it's kind of like when you're getting the whipping from your dad. You're doing the circle dance, and you're looking at him.
Yeah.
Okay, Dad. Oh, out, and you turn your back on him. You just keep you're doing the circle dance,
Yep.
and
Uh,
he's just trying to do what's best for you.
yep. That's true. So that covers 3A. So 3B. In his response to Israel in 8:11 through 18, what does Samuel try to explain? How successful was Samuel in getting his warning through to Israel, as indicated in 19 through 22?
Boy, the question's longer than the answer.
That's what I thought too.
I mean, because he told them all the things that's going to happen. We're going to have a king. He's going to basically draft your sons to be in his army and to build a shed. He's going to take your slaves away. He's going to take your daughters, make them cooks, perfumers,
Mhm.
and all that. He's gonna take your land. He's gonna take all the good stuff, and you may or may not get what's left over because he's giving that to his buddies.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Lynette, good to see you on here. Bristol, great to see you on here as well. And hi, Lynette. Chris isn't here. He's at a baby shower.
Yep.
So,
And how successful was his warning? Not at all.
yeah, not at all. So, yeah, and that's pretty much what I got. He tried to explain that more would be demanded from a king from them than what they were having to
Oh yeah,
deal with then. And then, yeah, he was not successful at all. The
no,
part B, that answer is really
no,
succinct. Yeah, no.
unsuccessful.
They were very hard headed. They had their blinders on. They're like, no, I've and how often have you been that
Oh
way
yeah.
about something you
Once
wanted?
we've decided that we're going somewhere, and
Doing something?
I mean, somebody can be sitting right there going, God wouldn't want you to do that. Well, he's not here right now. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
We're all that silly still today.
Yep. That takes us.
2-4. Also
Yeah.
pretty sure.
And one of the things on here, one of the footnotes, what the king will claim as his rights. So basically, Samuel used a description of the policies of the usual Canaanite kings, and he used that to warn the people of the burdens associated with the kingship that they were actually longing
Mm-hmm.
for. He said the tenth of everything. Throughout history, you give 1/10. Um, but a lot of times the kings would start off as a tenth.
Yeah, and then it's like,
But if times got a little bit harsh or whatever, you guys are gonna have to give up a little bit more. And our
I
government
need
does the
money
same
to
thing.
pay for all this stuff that you guys want, so you got to give it to me.
Yep, that is it.
Because you pick me.
4. Summarize the events in chapter 9 leading up to Saul's encounter with Samuel.
Oh well.
Did you go into that?
No, they were looking for donkeys.
They were
They
looking for
were out
donkeys.
looking for donkeys, and they couldn't find the donkeys. And then Saul decided, hey man, we've been out here a couple of days, hadn't found the donkeys, figured Dad's getting worried about me, so let's go back. And then the servant was like, let's try this one more thing. I heard that there's a seer up here, man of God, and everything he says is true. Maybe he can tell us something. And Saul's like, well, we don't have anything to give him because I would assume that, oh, I'm getting into another question. But anyway, they went to go find Saul, see if they could find out about their donkeys.
Pretty much what I got. It's pretty. I mean, there's really only one way to describe it to sum it up. So,
Some really good
but
donkeys.
no, it's they well, it was all they had. You know, it's when
Because they
it's
were the smallest
tribe.
family and the smallest tribe of Israel.
Yep. So it's like me. If we lost one of the cows here, it's a huge loss.
Yeah, it's huge.
Lose the miniature donkey we got here, or the miniature
And I
cow.
got to tell you, from my experience in the Middle East, donkeys are way important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really cute.
Yeah. Oh, they're really.
Most of them.
Well, we've got the miniature one out here, and that one's kind of cute, but
He's
oh,
needless to say,
stubborn.
pain in his namesake, but
Pain in his namesake. Exactly. All right. What impressions do you get of Saul's character based on chapter 9, verse 2 through 21, and how would you evaluate his concern to offer a gift to the man of God?
well, I put down. It seemed like to me, from what I read, that he was a decent person. He was still kind of humble, even though he was, head and shoulders above the rest, and a good-looking dude. And I would imagine if you were going to go ask the seer or the prophet a question, it was probably customary to bring a gift, and he's worried that, we don't, we're just wanting something from him and we're not giving him anything back, so he may not tell us anything.
Yeah. That is it was customary. If you went to see a man of God, and that I'm sure that factored into a part of their livelihood and stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, I put down, Saul was obedient, he was concerned, he was respectful, and he was humble.
Yep. Well,
And he knew what was, and when it came down to the shekels and what not having anything for the seer, he knew what was expected, and he worried about what they could give in exchange.
Right.
And he was just like, we don't have anything, so how's this going to work?
but wait,
Yeah.
I've got
The servant had more money than the
some
master.
silver in my pocket.
How often does that happen?
Now, I don't know if any of you guys been to Israel, but they don't have cash money. All they've got is coins.
Oh, that's it. That is it.
And, yep, you put that stuff in the nightstand every day, because if not, you're going to have a pocket full.
Yeah. I'd get weighted down carrying all that around.
Right.
I ran into that in Italy and Germany both. More of the coins than the paper money.
And that is where I stopped writing stuff down.
Was it? We're going extemporaneously after that.
You bet.
It's going to get
It's
entertaining.
in there.
This is where it gets entertaining, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
When the writing is stopped.
I did the homework. So,
You did do the homework. All right, well, number 6. So, what signs of God's sovereignty and compassion over the great and small affairs of life do you find in chapters 9 and 10?
well, he told Samuel, hey, don't tell him not to worry about the donkeys. We got the donkeys.
Mm-hmm.
The donkeys are good. And, I mean, and to me, that's the, pretty much the compassion part.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he let Samuel know the specifics of his meeting with Saul. He says, hey, this is what's going to happen. This guy's going to be coming up to you. This is what he's going to look like. This is how he's going to act. This is what I'm going to need you to do. And then he had Samuel tell Saul the specifics of what he would encounter on his way home. He says, okay, these are the things you're going to run into on your way home.
That's kind of long.
Just to verify that it is God giving you this message. And we're going to tell you the things that are going to happen before they happen, and you get to go through this.
You're going to go out. You're going to meet some guys that got groceries. Go ahead and eat the groceries. And then later you're going to run into those prophet guys.
Yeah, and the purpose of that, he gave that was God giving the people positive signs that Saul was a changed person than what he was before. We don't know what he was before. We just know he was.
Mine is pretty much yours, because as soon as he walked away from Samuel, God changed his heart right there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty awesome to me. God's always in the details.
Oh, yeah.
He is always in the details, and there are times, when you start you get something on your heart, and then you just get verification and verification and verification of what you were
Hmm.
thinking, and it's kind of like, and this is
Go for it.
really crazy, but no, it's kind of like when you speak about or you like something or you start looking something up on your phone, and then later on, all you get is
Oh,
advertisements for it.
yeah.
It's like it's kind of like that a little bit, but different.
Somehow the internet knows what you're thinking.
Right? Shocking.
Or Facebook, whatever.
Yeah. So, so that covered 6. This may be a really brief lesson. 7. What evidence do you see in chapters 9 and 10 that Saul's elevation to the throne was not the result of his personal ambition?
Okay, well, he was, first thing he said, why are you even talking to me? I'm the lowest family and the smallest tribe. I'm a nobody, really. Why are you talking to me?
Hmm.
And so he didn't think he should be even looked at for such a position.
Yeah.
He's like, nobody even from my tribe. We're all just those guys.
Yeah. And he seemed content with his place in
Oh,
life.
yeah,
He
I'm
was
happy.
happy with where he was. He's like, everything's fine. I don't want for a whole lot. Do a little bit of work. It's
In fact,
nothing really
my name
horrible.
is Saul. They didn't call me
Um,
Kish Jr., so
right.
everything is good.
And he expressed doubt that God would choose him, considering his humble lineage. Like
Right?
you said, he was the smallest tribe, smallest family, smallest everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you and then he tried to hide
Yep,
during the
yep,
choosing of the lot, which is basically like drawing straws, is what they were going through. And he's trying to hide during the whole process, and he'd already been told
yep,
God's picked you. God has
yep.
set you aside, much
I mean,
like the
because
meat was set aside by
Samuel just did
Samuel
that
for
for
him.
their benefit. We're going to do this and see
Yeah.
what happens. But he already knew
Yeah,
everybody.
it was already a done deal. He went home, and even when he was disrespected by some who despised him, and they left no gifts for him
Yep.
like they were supposed to, he said nothing. He
He's like,
didn't let it
whatever.
get to him. It didn't let it bother him. He's like, whatever, man. Yeah,
You don't care.
yeah.
I'm going to go home, plow some fields, and call it good.
And it's amazing reading these and then knowing how the story plays out when
Mm-hmm.
David gets on the scene and how people will change based upon, I don't know, life in general. I
Right?
mean, there are times when things are going good, people are really happy and content. When
Yep.
things start going bad, or if for certain people, if there's something that's threatening their pride and their ego, then at that point they get
Yep.
nasty.
And I think, this lesson, because even though we're not going all the way through, I think it gets into that, what happened.
Yeah.
It all started out so good. What happened?
Hmm. I would agree. Number 8. Now, in chapter 10, verses 2 through 10, why do you think Samuel prophesies to Saul these specific events that were about to happen to him?
Yeah, so he would know. So he would see signs that this is really happening.
Mhm.
You know, uh,
Yeah.
you're going to run into these guys with the bread and the wineskin and stuff. And then you're going to run into these prophets with their lutes and lyres and tambourines, and you're going to prophesy with them.
Mhm.
And this is stuff that he would probably, this is never going to happen.
Right.
And what else was it? Well, he told him, right off the bat, when you get home, you're going to find out that Saul was right. We got the donkeys back. Holy mackerel. This
Yeah.
guy is batting 1,000.
Yeah. And I pretty much put the same thing, is to authenticate Samuel's words and to assure or prove to him that God had chosen him to be king.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going through some things lately where I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to choose in life right now? And there's some things that have been put on my heart, and I'm just like, maybe I'm ready, maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe on some of these I'll get an answer. Some of them I've already gotten answers for, and it's
Well,
surprising to
yeah.
me.
I've got, stuff going on, and I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Uh-huh.
Should I do anything? Should I just let it go? Should I say something?
Right.
I'm like, You may have to slap me around a little bit because I'm kind of thick and I don't always realize you're telling me something.
Right. Oh, I'm the same way. I can take a hint if it's applied with a sledgehammer.
Exactly.
That's the phrase I like.
You know
That works for
me.
me. If you're just gonna hint around with it, I will totally. It'll
All right.
pass over my head. I'll miss it.
What are you talking about?
But if you apply it with a sledgehammer, I have a better chance,
Every
and it's not
time.
guaranteed, but I do have a better chance. All right. Uh, number 9, I think we're up to.
Yep, sounds good.
From what you see in chapter 10, verse 6 through 7 and 9 through 12, how was Saul divinely prepared as well as divinely chosen to lead the nation?
No, I mean, God picked him out and told Samuel, "Hey, that's the guy." And in the that first, the little meal they were having at the sacrifice when they first met, come on up here and you get the best
Get the choice pick. It was
get the
set
choice
aside
pick.
for
Yeah,
you, just
yeah,
like
for
you
you.
are set aside by
Knew
God.
you were coming, and you get the best because you're going to be the king.
Mhm.
And let's see, boy, there was something else. Well, and then Samuel, of course, anointed him with oil and all that good stuff,
Mhm.
which really it weirds me out, but
Yeah, and
it
to
was a
me,
thing.
he was divinely prepared by God changing his heart. For one,
Yeah.
that was one of the
Oh
ways he
yeah.
was divinely prepared. God changed his heart as soon as he left Samuel, excuse me. As
And
soon
I
as he
mean,
left
and I
Samuel,
really that
he was changed.
my crazy brain. I mean, I get imagery here. It's like, all right, you're good to go.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that is it. And I think and then by the prophesying, it showed the people that a great change had occurred
Yeah,
because
they're like, really? Saul?
you can tell people that you've changed and that you look differently at things and that you're different. But they're always going to watch what you do to see if that matches up with your words. And that's what the people
Mm-hmm.
did. We know, yeah, you're telling us he's changed, but God showed them that he was changed ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we are down to number 10. Yeah, because we're going down through 10 or 11,
Yeah,
12.
I think we get to 12, and
And
then that's pretty much it.
then it goes into the next chapters.
Right.
All right, so 10. In what ways is Saul more firmly established as king by the events recorded in chapter 11?
When it gets the outcry from what is supposed to be his people, he get, he's gets mad about it. God gives him the deal. He says, "This is how it's going to be. This is what. If you don't, I'm calling you guys to come take care of your own. And if you don't come, we're going to come cut up your oxen, and because we know we're going to win, and we're going to have a big party later,
Yeah.
barbecue. Come on now, that's a lot of oxen if you don't show up." But
Right.
and he took them in, and obviously with God's help, they won a great battle
Mhm.
and saved a portion of the Israelites.
Yeah. And I'd agree with that. He was able to bring the nation together to fight.
And that's
God inspired him, took control, and said, "Hey,
that was one of their. We want someone to lead us in battle.
yeah." It's one of the check marks for him. And two, he organized them well to establish a victory.
Yeah,
He got them
but
gathered together.
obviously
They had
wasn't.
the numbers, but then, as you know as well as I do, he picked the best time of day,
Yep.
first thing in the morning, before the changing of the guards and everything, or right afterwards,
Yeah.
right in that ballpark,
And what got me
to send a battle.
is this guy's going to be our king, and he's out plowing the fields.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I
Yep.
like this guy. I don't see where this could go wrong.
Right. Well, and also the ones that doubted him, his people asked him, "What are we going to do with these doubters?"
Yeah,
And he's like,
they want to kill him. I mean,
"Yeah,
those guys didn't cut anybody any slack. It's like
no,
those guys
back
that said
then,
you shouldn't be king. You know what? Bring him here. We'll just kill him.
yeah."
We're gonna kill him.
And Saul was like, "No, leave him alone.
I
We're
mean,
fine."
we didn't even have the gouge your right eye out option. We're just
No,
gonna kill him.
no, and at least Nahash,
Yeah,
at least
he's
threatened
like,
with the eye
I'm
thing.
just gonna gouge your eye out. Just one.
Yeah,
Your right eye. It's okay. I'm left eye dominant. So get over it.
right. So in 11, 1 through 6, what prompted Saul's first public action? And
Crying Israelites.
crying Israelites. That is as quick and succinct as you can put it. They were crying. They were about to be. They were besieged, and they were about to be overtaken and have their eyes gouged out. So,
And
which
they were
would
going
make
to do
me
it with
want to cry thinking about that myself. So,
and apparently they were going to do it with a smile on their face.
yeah. So Nahash was laying siege to Jabesh Gilead, and the Spirit of God came upon Saul and he said, "Hey, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how I'm bringing everybody together." So, and number 12. This is a two-parter.
But
In
which part?
11, 3 through 11, summarize the chain of events that led to the rescue of Jabesh Gilead, and what was Saul's role in all of this?
I think we already went over.
We have already went over that. I can give you a brief version of it if you want that.
Go for it.
Cool. So Nahash besieged Jabesh Gilead, and the elders negotiated a 7-day truce, see if anybody could come to rescue him. And at that point, if nobody came to rescue him, they said, "Well, we'll go ahead and surrender to you, and we'll suffer whatever consequences there are," which we know was getting your eye gouged out. Also, they sent messengers. They went to the Gibeah of Saul, and after hearing this, Saul took a pair of oxygen, cut them up, sent them throughout Israel, telling everybody to follow Saul and Samuel. If you don't, then your oxen will be just like these. And oxen,
Big deal.
highly valuable. And the people were terrified and knew that this was kind of a God thing, and they said, "All right," so they followed him. So that's part A.
Yep.
What was
Part B?
So that's a summary. So what was Saul's role in all this? Saul's role was, well,
oh, okay.
I kind of already covered
A
that.
was a two-part,
He took control.
He was the boss.
He
He was the
assumed the
king.
leadership position.
He assumed the role of king like he was told he was going to.
Right.
And apparently he led from the front and had some used pretty good strategic mind, probably God's, obviously. Hey, Saul, do this. Because he's like, all I know is hunt for donkeys and plow the field. What do you want me to do?
Yep.
I'm going to take a three-pronged attack.
What was his part? Saul's part in it? He led Israel into battle, and they defeated Nahash and his guys. Now, why did this event convince all Israel that Saul was the Lord's choice to be king? We're looking at verses 6 through 12.
He came up with a way to bring them all together.
That was first. Yep.
Then he led them into battle.
And they won.
And they won.
And he acted like what you would expect a king to act.
Yep, he did kingly stuff.
Yep. So of course at that point in time they're like, "Hey man, we think this looks like this is going to work out really well."
Yep. And at the time, he was a get her done kind of king, dirty hands, clean money kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that was
that part.
That takes us all the way through. So starting next Sunday, we're going to continue, but we'll start in chapter 12.
12 through 15.
Yeah. And hopefully that's a pretty good spot to break that apart at. It could still be a little lengthy. I think it's going to all work out.
I think it will.
So hopefully next week we'll have Chris with us.
Right.
And I apologize for this being a little bit earlier than normal, but I'm going to go and try out for a play. So
outstanding.
It will be entertaining. Whether I get it or not does not matter. It'll be fun just going out and trying out.
I suppose so.
But
what play? Go ahead. What play?
The play is Little Women. And no, I'm not applying for one of the Little Women parts.
Well, there's guy parts in there.
There is one guy part. Man, no, two. One suitable for my age.
Apparently
I'm getting old now.
I only saw the show on TV once.
Yeah. It's a pretty good. It's
not a bad story.
I like good storyline. Not too bad. So.
And still, let us know if you heard us, because I think we had a really good thing going tonight, but we don't know if anybody heard us.
Yeah, it's different. It was different environment this time. A little less chaotic.
We got the green light on the microphone, but
it tells us that it's working. How well it's working, we don't know.
And I didn't bring my headphones. I should have listened in there.
And instead of over at Chris's today, we were at the Rock Ridge Ranch. If you ever watched Blazing Saddles, you will recognize the reference because it does seem like that around here a little bit every once in a
Yeah, sometimes is what I mean.
while. We want to thank you all for watching, tuning in,
Absolutely.
listening to us, putting
Glad
up
to
with
have
us.
you guys.
Absolutely. And again, for those on YouTube or on Facebook, man, just hit the like on there, comment, please. Anytime y'all want, comment, chime in with what you think about us, what we're doing, what we're accomplishing.
Are we accomplishing anything?
If we're accomplishing
We're going to
anything
keep
at all.
doing it anyways.
Yeah. So no, we really enjoy this. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to us when you guys pop up on there and you holler at us. Um, And I think that is about it. If you have any
Mm-hmm.
prayer requests, if you have anything that you'd like us to pray for, or any suggestions, comments, concerns, any of the above, please let us know. We are totally, we're always listening. We're always open to new ideas. So let us know. Anything else?
No, I think that could.
All right. You want to take us out of prayer?
Oh, sure. We'll give it a whirl. Thank you, Lord, for this day, and thank you for allowing us to come and study your word. And thank you for the people that, or they got to watch us, and hopefully they got something from it. Be with all our friends and family, and even our foes. Be with guys that are trying to run our country, and lead them in the direction they need to go. And just be with everybody, and thank you that we're alive here in your world. Thank you for everything. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, and that's like you said, guys. You know, we all want different for our country. We all want certain things for it and stuff, and it's really sucks to see that our nation is so divided along party lines,
Oh
and
yeah.
they won't ever they it used to be
Yeah, we
you
just
had a little
see.
bit of a time to where you had certain ones in at the higher levels that it didn't matter if it was an idea from the left or the right.
If
If
it
it
was
was
a
a
good
good idea,
idea, it's a
it
good
was a good
idea.
idea. That was it.
I mean,
And
that's all
that's
I
you
want.
know
I want a United States of America.
that's
Oh,
it's kind of
getting
the
home.
ideal. The ideal.
I
So.
mean, it's in the name. Come on, folks.
All right. Well, we love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Michelle, good to see that you tuned in.
I know.
And remember, guys, if you're on Facebook and you can either watch us
You were
on our
looking
channel or you can also catch us on YouTube.
looking good as the lady in the red dress yesterday at the track.
Yeah. Almost went to the track and didn't quite make it. So,
I'm not a tracker.
no. I wanted to go spend some hay. Spend some money on hay. That's about it. That's about all I
So
do.
you have the good stuff up there.
No, I go up there. I love watching the horses run. I like people watching up there. That is
Now
really
that
awesome.
is big.
That's
People watch.
huge. And it's entertaining seeing everybody there having a good time.
I mean, and of course it'd been fun yesterday. Now, of course, if you'd seen Michelle and her friends, you probably would have stopped and you couldn't watch everybody else because you'd be sitting going, look at those guys. Because they're a hoot. I don't know
Yeah,
all of them, but they're good people and funny ladies.
that's it. All right. Well, thank y'all very much. Y'all have a blessed day, and thank you for tuning in.
Bye bye. And stuff.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel, I was looking at myself in three places. It's so stressful.